Hey y'all, Jim here, Keith behind the camera, Colorado crew, and this is part 2 of the ULH frame mystery. Okay, this is a 1937 Harley ULH 80-inch flatty. In part 1, I talked about the frame and how I was kind of baffled with the frame, not understanding really the differences in what is presented as a 37 frame and this frame here. And we made a discovery that the frame has numbers stamped in it right here on the seat post casting, which are factory numbers, which indicates that this frame had been sent sometime in the 1940s back to Milwaukee to be straightened at the Harley factory. That fact with those numbers is undisputed. Okay, when I posted the last video, there was much discussion and much chiming in from many people about their opinion on what I had said in that video. But the one thing that was undisputed was these numbers are factory numbers that are stamped in by Harley when the frame was straightened back in the 1940s. So we got that down. Now, the dilemma with the 1-inch frame reinforcement bar versus the 7/8 inch frame reinforcement bar went like this. I had one guy chime in and say that was not a factory repair, that we had a late 1937 frame, that there was an early version of 1937 that had the small bar, a later version that had the big bar, and this guy knows a lot. His message was a little condescending because nobody knows everything. Some people think they do. But in any case, you know, I took that to heart because he knows what he's talking about. Another guy suggested that because this motor has an earlier serial number on it, this is not a late 37. This is an early to mid 37 by the serial number on the motor. He suggested that the frame must have been changed out, that Harley gave a replacement frame and it's a later frame because it has a 1-inch bar even though it's an earlier serial number. Okay, that's another explanation. Now, my buddy Jeff Kaufman at Jeff's American Classics up in Dundee, Oregon, he chimed in and said, Jim, there are 3 versions that I know of. And Jeff was very respectful and very humble in his comments, as he always is, and I appreciate that, but he knows way more than I ever will. Anyway, Jeff says there's 3 versions of the 37 frame. There is an early 37 frame with a 7/8 inch reinforcement bar. There is a mid 37 frame that has a 7/8 inch reinforcement bar with 1-inch shims at the neck. And then there's the late 37 frame that has a 1-inch reinforcement bar on a 1-inch neck. This made total sense to me. Okay, the neck casting here has a hole in it that's cast into it where the reinforcement bar comes into the neck. And Jeff says to me, Jim, there's no way that Harley could have put a 1-inch bar on an early frame because it's a 1-inch tube trying to go into a 7/8 inch hole. That made perfect sense to me. And so I got curious about it and I came out and started looking at this a little bit more. And I got something I want to show you. This bar, this is a 7/8 inch neck. There's no question that this is a 7/8 inch hole. This bar is 1 inch, but look, the bar tapers down at the end. It tapers from 1 inch down to 7/8. And I'm going to walk around behind here and show you. Keith, you'll want to get a nice straight on shot. I'm going to put a white background on the thing. Clearly, that bar tapers down from 1 inch to 7/8 of an inch on the end. And just to illustrate that, I have got, you see this? You think you know what this is? You don't. This is a set of calipers. Backwoods rednecks like us, who don't have all the tools in the world, this is a caliper. It's a 2-piece caliper. You need a ruler and a crescent wrench. I'm going to show you. I'm going to slip this crescent wrench on this bar, nice and tight. then I'm going to show you that that measures clearly 1 inch. Okay, now as I slide my redneck caliper down the tube, look how loose it gets on the end. So now I'm going to recalibrate the diameter of the bar and show you clearly that it is 7/8 of an inch. Okay, so the result of our study shows that one of two things. Either my original hypothesis on this frame is correct, that this is an early 37 frame. When it was sent back to Harley, whether this whole thing was bent or Harley just did the upgrade, Harley-Davidson had some tubes made that were 1 inch on this end, 7/8 on this end, tapered down. This is machined. This is not, this is not scabbed together and ground off. This is machined. Either they did that as an upgrade, or perhaps we have discovered the Type 4 1937 frame where, while they were still using the 7/8 inch neck, they started experimenting with a 1 inch bar, and they made some tubes that tapered down from 1 inch to 7/8. Either way, it's something that apparently nobody has seen. If you've ever seen this before, if you know about it, please chime in, because that's what these videos are about, is learning and doing. And just as a matter of GP, right here on these welds, I took some of the paint off. You got some paint damage from a fuel leak here, but I took some of the paint off and I filed on the weld. This is definitely a steel weld. This is not brazed, although this is an oven brazed frame. This repair upgrade is not brazed, it is welded, and judging by the welds are a little crude. Also, if you'll look here where the tube comes into the neck, and also right here, I'm going to throw some light on it. These welds are not real pretty. So I'm going to guess that Harley maybe just got the welder, or maybe the guy on the welder was, fairly new. But those are not pretty perfect beads. Those are rough, but definitely this is stuff that was done, at the factory. So I'm Jim. I'm from the Colorado crew. I do not claim to know everything. I certainly do not claim to know anything. No ego involvement here. This is all about old motorbikes, keeping them on the road, having fun, and learning little details like this. So please comment, chime in, post videos of your builds. We all want to see what y'all got going on. Best to you and your family, and thanks for watching.